Pet relocation during Aliyah represents one of the most emotionally significant yet logistically complex aspects of international immigration, requiring careful planning, substantial financial investment, and navigation of strict regulatory requirements that ensure both animal welfare and public health protection. For families who consider pets integral family members, successful pet immigration often determines overall satisfaction with the relocation decision and affects family emotional well-being throughout the adjustment process. Israeli pet import regulations and legal requirements. Israel maintains comprehensive animal import regulations administered by the Veterinary Services Division of the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, designed to prevent disease transmission while facilitating legitimate pet immigration for families relocating to Israel. Understanding these regulations and compliance requirements is essential for successful pet immigration and avoiding costly delays or complications. Eligible animals for import include dogs, cats, and certain small animals including rabbits, ferrets, and birds, though requirements vary significantly by species and country of origin. Dogs and cats represent the most common pet imports with established procedures, while exotic animals or unusual breeds may require special permits or may be prohibited entirely. Import permits must be obtained before shipping arrangements, requiring advance application with detailed information about the animal, owner immigration status, and intended residence in Israel. These permits specify conditions for importation and must be coordinated with shipping schedules and veterinary preparation timelines. Microchip identification is mandatory for all imported pets, with specific technical requirements for microchip types and placement that must be verified by qualified veterinarians. The microchip must be implanted before vaccination procedures and must remain functional throughout the import process. Health certificates issued by government veterinary authorities in the country of origin must attest to the animal's health status, vaccination history, and disease testing results, according to Israeli requirements that vary by animal species and country disease risk assessments. Import timing restrictions may apply based on seasonal considerations, disease outbreaks, or regulatory changes that could affect import permissions or quarantine requirements. Planning import timing well in advance allows flexibility for addressing regulatory changes or unexpected complications. Veterinary health requirements and documentation. Comprehensive veterinary preparation represents the most critical aspect of pet immigration, requiring precise compliance with health testing, vaccination, and documentation requirements that ensure animal health while satisfying Israeli regulatory standards for disease prevention and public health protection. Vaccination requirements include current immunizations against rabies, distemper, hepatitis, parainfluenza, parvovirus, and other diseases specified by Israeli veterinary authorities, with specific timing requirements relative to import dates and previous vaccination history that must be documented precisely. Blood testing for rabies antibodies must demonstrate adequate immunity levels through laboratory analysis conducted at approved facilities, with testing timing coordinated with vaccination schedules and import planning to ensure results remain valid throughout the import process. Health examinations by certified veterinarians must occur within specified timeframes before shipping, documenting overall health status, absence of infectious diseases, and fitness for international travel through comprehensive physical examination and health certification procedures. Parasite treatment and prevention requires documentation of treatment for internal and external parasites according to Israeli requirements, including specific medications and treatment timing that must be verified through veterinary records and health certificates. Special health considerations for older animals, pregnant animals, or pets with chronic health conditions may require additional veterinary assessment, treatment modifications, or special import procedures that address individual animal health needs while satisfying regulatory requirements. Veterinary record compilation requires organizing comprehensive medical histories, vaccination records, health certificates, and laboratory results in formats acceptable to Israeli veterinary authorities, often requiring professional translation and certification by qualified veterinary professionals. Transportation arrangements and logistics. Pet transportation to Israel involves complex logistics coordination, requiring specialized animal transport services, precise timing coordination, and comprehensive planning that ensures animal welfare while satisfying regulatory requirements and family relocation schedules. Professional pet transport services specialize in international animal relocation, providing expertise in regulatory compliance, transportation arrangements, and logistical coordination that significantly reduces complications while ensuring proper animal care throughout the transportation process. Airline requirements for pet transportation vary significantly between carriers, with specific regulations regarding carrier sizes, documentation requirements, seasonal restrictions, and health certificates that must be coordinated with overall travel planning and regulatory compliance schedules. Cargo versus cabin transportation options depend on animal size, airline policies, and seasonal weather restrictions that affect animal safety during transportation. Larger animals typically require cargo transportation with specialized handling and climate-controlled environments. Transportation timing must coordinate import permit validity, health certificate timing, family travel schedules, and seasonal weather conditions that affect both transportation safety and customs processing efficiency upon arrival in Israel. Shipping containers and travel carriers must meet international standards for animal transportation, providing adequate space, ventilation, and safety features while satisfying airline requirements and ensuring animal comfort during extended transportation periods. Pre-transportation veterinary assessment ensures animals are healthy enough for international travel stress, with particular attention to animals with health conditions, advanced age, or anxiety issues that could be exacerbated by transportation procedures and environmental changes. Quarantine procedures and facility requirements. Israeli quarantine procedures for imported animals serve public health protection while providing proper animal care during disease monitoring periods that ensure imported pets don't pose health risks to local animal populations or public health. Quarantine duration varies by animal species, country of origin, and health status, typically ranging from several days to several weeks, depending on disease risk assessments and compliance with pre-import health requirements that may reduce quarantine periods for properly prepared animals. Quarantine facilities provide professional animal care with veterinary supervision, appropriate housing, feeding, and medical monitoring while maintaining security and disease prevention protocols that protect both quarantined animals and local animal populations. Quarantine costs include facility charges, veterinary care, feeding, and administrative fees that represent significant expenses, requiring budget planning and advance payment arrangements coordinated with transportation schedules and arrival procedures. Visitation policies during quarantine may allow family visits under controlled conditions, providing emotional support for both pets and families while maintaining quarantine security and disease prevention protocols that ensure facility operational integrity. Release procedures require completion of quarantine periods, final health assessments, and administrative processing that coordinates with family housing arrangements and transportation from quarantine facilities to final destinations within Israel. Emergency procedures during quarantine address potential health crises, behavioral problems, or family emergencies that might affect quarantine completion or require modifications to standard quarantine procedures while maintaining regulatory compliance and animal welfare standards. Cost considerations and financial planning. Pet immigration involves substantial costs across multiple categories, requiring careful budget planning and financial preparation that accounts for both anticipated expenses and potential additional costs that may arise during the import process. Veterinary preparation costs include health examinations, vaccinations, laboratory testing, health certificates, and documentation fees that vary by veterinary provider and may require multiple veterinary visits over several months of preparation time. Transportation expenses include airline cargo fees, professional transport services, travel carriers, and insurance coverage that protect against loss or injury during transportation, with costs varying significantly based on animal size, destination routing, and service level selection. Import fees and regulatory costs include permit applications, customs processing, quarantine facility charges, and administrative fees charged by Israeli authorities for import processing and regulatory compliance verification throughout the import procedure. Insurance coverage options protect against transportation risks, quarantine complications, and potential medical expenses during import procedures, providing financial protection against unexpected costs that could arise from transportation delays, health complications, or regulatory complications. Emergency expense preparation should account for potential additional costs, including extended quarantine periods, medical treatment, transportation delays, or regulatory complications that could increase total import costs beyond initial estimates and budget planning. Currency exchange considerations affect costs calculated in different currencies, with potential fluctuations affecting total expenses depending on exchange rate movements between initial planning and final payment for various services throughout the import process. Housing considerations and pet-friendly accommodation. Pet-friendly housing in Israel requires consideration of cultural attitudes toward pets, landlord policies, and practical accommodation features that ensure comfortable living arrangements for both families and their pets throughout the housing search and rental negotiation process. Rental market considerations include understanding Israeli landlord attitudes toward pets, which may be less accommodating than in other countries, requiring careful housing searches that specifically target pet-friendly properties and landlords willing to accommodate animals. Pet deposits and rental fees often exceed standard rental deposits, requiring additional upfront costs for pet-friendly housing, while landlords may impose restrictions on pet types, sizes, or behaviors that affect housing options and rental negotiation flexibility. Housing features important for pets include outdoor access, appropriate space for animal exercise and comfort, and proximity to veterinary services and pet supply stores that support ongoing pet care and convenience for daily pet management activities. Community considerations include understanding neighborhood attitudes toward pets, availability of dog parks or exercise areas, and local regulations regarding pet ownership, leash laws, and waste management that affect daily pet care routines and community integration. Building regulations in Israeli apartment complexes may restrict pet ownership, impose size limitations, or require additional insurance coverage that affects housing options and may necessitate specific housing searches that accommodate pet ownership requirements. Garden and outdoor space availability becomes particularly important for dogs requiring regular exercise, with consideration for Israeli climate conditions and seasonal weather patterns that affect outdoor activities and pet exercise routines throughout the year. Veterinary care and health care in Israel. Israeli veterinary care provides modern medical services with qualified professionals, though costs, availability, and cultural approaches may differ from veterinary care in immigrants' countries of origin, requiring adjustment to new veterinary relationships and healthcare systems. Veterinarian selection involves finding English-speaking veterinary providers, understanding service availability and costs, and establishing ongoing healthcare relationships that provide continuity of care for imported pets with existing health conditions or ongoing medical needs. Vaccination and preventive care requirements in Israel may differ from previous preventive care routines, requiring coordination with Israeli veterinary providers to ensure appropriate ongoing health care that maintains animal health while satisfying local regulatory requirements and disease prevention standards. Emergency veterinary services, availability, and procedures require understanding after-hours care options, emergency clinic locations, and procedures for accessing urgent veterinary care during health crises that require immediate professional intervention and medical treatment. Prescription medications and specialty treatments may have different availability or cost structures compared to previous veterinary care, requiring coordination with veterinary providers to ensure continuity of treatment for chronic conditions or ongoing medical management requirements. Pet insurance options in Israel may provide financial protection against veterinary expenses, though coverage options, costs, and benefits may differ significantly from insurance available in other countries, requiring evaluation of coverage needs and cost-benefit analysis for ongoing healthcare expense management. Specialty veterinary services, including surgery, dental care, and specialist consultation, may require referrals to specific providers or facilities, requiring understanding of Israeli veterinary service networks and specialty care availability for complex medical needs. Climate adaptation and environmental considerations. Israeli climate conditions require consideration for pet adaptation to Mediterranean weather patterns, seasonal temperature variations, and environmental factors that may differ significantly from previous climate conditions affecting pet comfort and health. Heat adaptation becomes particularly important for pets accustomed to cooler climates, requiring gradual acclimatization, appropriate exercise scheduling, and environmental modifications that prevent heat-related health problems during hot summer months when temperatures may exceed comfort levels. Seasonal exercise routines may require adjustment to accommodate temperature extremes, with early morning or evening exercise during summer months and increased indoor activity options during extreme weather periods that affect outdoor activity, comfort, and safety. Environmental hazards specific to Israel may include plants, insects, or wildlife that pose risks to pets unfamiliar with local environmental conditions, requiring awareness and prevention measures that protect pets from regional environmental dangers and health risks. Water and humidity considerations affect pets accustomed to different climate conditions, requiring attention to hydration needs, humidity adaptation, and environmental comfort measures that support successful climate adjustment and ongoing health maintenance. Indoor climate control, including air conditioning, heating, and ventilation, becomes important for pet comfort during extreme weather periods, with consideration for electricity costs and efficient climate management that maintains comfortable indoor environments for both families and pets. Outdoor safety measures may be necessary to protect pets from unfamiliar environmental conditions, wildlife encounters, or plants that could pose health risks, requiring education about local environmental hazards and appropriate safety precautions for outdoor activities. Cultural integration and social considerations. Pet ownership cultural attitudes in Israel may differ from those in immigrants' countries of origin, requiring understanding of social norms, community expectations, and cultural approaches to human-animal relationships that affect social integration and community acceptance. Public space regulations, including leash laws, waste management requirements, and pet access restrictions to certain areas, require compliance with local regulations while understanding community expectations for responsible pet ownership and public space etiquette. Social integration opportunities may include pet owner communities, dog parks, and animal-related activities that provide social connections while offering opportunities for cultural exchange and community relationship development through shared pet ownership experiences. Neighbor relationships and community acceptance require sensitivity to varying attitudes toward pets, noise considerations, and property maintenance responsibilities that affect ongoing community relationships and successful neighborhood integration for families with pets. Children and pet relationships within Israeli educational and social contexts may require consideration for how pets affect children's social interactions, educational activities, and community participation in environments where pet ownership approaches may vary from previous experiences. Religious considerations within various Israeli communities may affect attitudes toward pets, pet care practices, and community acceptance of animal ownership, requiring awareness of religious sensitivities and community norms that affect successful social integration. Pet service availability, including grooming, boarding, training, and pet supply stores, requires familiarization with local service providers and may involve adjustment to different service approaches, availability, and costs compared to previous pet care service experiences. Legal responsibilities and ongoing obligations. Israeli pet ownership involves legal responsibilities and regulatory compliance requirements that continue throughout pet ownership, requiring understanding of ongoing obligations and legal frameworks governing animal ownership and care. Licensing and registration requirements for pet ownership within Israeli municipalities may require annual renewal, vaccination verification, and compliance with local regulations that ensure responsible pet ownership and community public health protection. Liability and insurance considerations include understanding owner responsibility for pet behavior, property damage, or injury to other persons or animals, with potential legal liability requiring appropriate insurance coverage and responsible pet management practices. Breeding and reproduction regulations may restrict pet breeding activities, require permits for breeding operations, or impose spaying and neutering requirements that affect decisions about pet reproduction and ongoing veterinary care planning. Travel and movement regulations within Israel may require documentation for pet transportation between regions, particularly during security situations or disease outbreaks that could affect pet movement and travel planning for families with pets. End-of-life considerations, including euthanasia procedures, burial or cremation options, and grief support services, require understanding Israeli approaches to pet death and memorial services that may differ from previous experiences with pet loss and memorial practices. Legal recourse and protection for pet welfare issues provide frameworks for addressing animal abuse, neglect, or welfare concerns through legal systems that protect animal rights, while providing appropriate intervention and enforcement mechanisms. Long-term pet care and quality of life. Successful pet integration into Israeli life requires ongoing attention to animal welfare, quality of life, and adaptation support that ensures pets remain healthy and happy family members throughout extended residence in their new environment. Exercise and enrichment opportunities, including dog parks, walking areas, and recreational activities, require exploration of local resources and community facilities that support ongoing pet physical and mental health throughout different life stages and changing family circumstances. Social opportunities for pets, including interaction with other animals, socialization experiences, and community activities, provide mental stimulation and social development that support psychological health and behavioral well-being for pets, adapting to new environments and communities. Aging pet care considerations include understanding Israeli veterinary approaches to geriatric pet care, end-of-life planning, and senior pet support services that ensure appropriate care for aging pets with changing health needs and medical requirements. Training and behavior support services may be necessary for pets experiencing adjustment stress, behavioral changes, or training needs related to environmental changes, requiring access to professional animal behavior specialists and training resources that support successful pet adaptation. Community involvement opportunities through volunteer activities, pet therapy programs, or animal welfare organizations provide meaningful ways for families to contribute to local animal welfare while building community connections and cultural integration through shared animal care interests. Pet relocation for Aliyah requires comprehensive planning, substantial financial investment, and ongoing commitment to animal welfare throughout the complex import process and subsequent integration into Israeli society. Success depends on careful preparation, realistic expectations, and dedication to ensuring pet welfare while navigating regulatory requirements and cultural adaptation that affects both human and animal family members throughout the immigration and integration experience.